The golden late-afternoon sun streamed through the high-rise office windows, reflecting off the polished mahogany desk where Daniel Hart sat, scrolling through his phone. His smirk deepened as he read the notification. "You're invited to Emily's gender reveal party, Saturday, 3 p.m. Daniel leaned back in his chair, the expensive leather creaking under his weight. A man in his early 30s, Daniel had built himself into a self-made millionaire. Sharp suits, sharper tongue, and a reputation for sarcasm that could cut through steel. That was him. But today he was amused, not business-minded, Emily Sanders, his ex. The woman he'd left behind 5 years ago, single and struggling. And now she was having a gender reveal. Her first pregnancy. He chuckled, a low, almost cruel sound. Single for 5 years, no kids, and now this? He muttered. Let's see what she's got. The invitation had come through her new assistant. Emily had moved on, taken a new job, and clearly was making waves in the city's non-profit scene. Daniel's eyes scanned the details. Backyard of her suburban house. Family and friends only, casual, festive. With balloons and a cake. Perfect. He dialed his best friend and business partner. Ryan. Hey man, you won't believe this. Emily's having a gender reveal. She's finally catching up to the rest of the world. Ryan laughed on the other end. Oh, she's getting her moment, huh? Are you planning to, show up? Daniel smirked, leaning forward, fingers drumming on the desk. Oh, I will. But not to be nice. I'll just watch. Watch her try to look impressive while I sit back and... He paused, savoring the thought. Watch her fumble. Saturday arrived. The sky was clear, birds chirping, kids running around in tiny sneakers, and pastel balloons swayed gently in the suburban breeze. Daniel parked his sleek black SUV a few blocks away, not wanting to look obvious. He adjusted his tie, straightened his jacket, and walked toward the house with that familiar swagger of confidence, the kind that made people notice him instantly. Emily greeted her guests at the front porch, her face glowing, dressed in a soft pink sundress. Her hair was neatly tied back, her smile radiant and nervous at the same time. She waved at friends, neighbors, and colleagues, completely unaware of the shadow approaching from the street. Daniel's heart didn't exactly race, not from attraction, not anymore. No, it was something else. Curiosity, and maybe a twinge of regret he refused to admit. He slipped into the backyard, blending in among guests, observing without being noticed. Kids squealed as they chased a golden retriever. A pastel balloon arch framed the cake table, and a banner read, Boy or Girl. Let's celebrate Emily's miracle. Emily turned to her friends, laughing as she held her belly, the gentle swell visible under her dress. I can't believe it's finally happening, she said softly. I've waited so long for this moment. Her friends cooed and hugged her, sharing in the joy. Daniel's smirk twitched. Long awaited? Yes, but not by him. He moved closer to the cake, inspecting the elaborate setup. Blue and pink frosting, tiny booties, ribbons, and confetti cannons. He raised an eyebrow. She's really going all out. Then a child ran past, accidentally bumping into Daniel. He caught the boy, smiling politely. Careful there, buddy, he said. Then casually, he asked a nearby guest. So, is she expecting a boy or a girl? The guest glanced at him, unsure, but shrugged. Not sure. The reveal's about to happen. Daniel chuckled under his breath. Of course it is. The host, Emily's older sister, clapped her hands. All right, everyone. Gather around. Time for the big reveal. Emily stepped forward, holding a ribboned box. Daniel's eyes narrowed. And here it comes. The moment she thinks she'll impress everyone. Her friends counted down. 3, 2, 1. The box popped open. Pink confetti exploded into the air. It's a girl. The crowd cheered, some wiping happy tears, some hugging her. Emily gasped, holding her face overcome with emotion. Daniel smirked, shaking his head slightly. A girl, that's cute, he muttered to himself. He was about to leave, thinking his job here was done, when a sound stopped him. Another burst, another pop, and then he saw them. Twins. 2 little booties in her hands, one pink, one blue. 2 tiny sets of ribbons fluttering in the breeze. Emily turned, eyes shining, and held up her hands. "Surprise! It's twins!" The backyard froze for a moment. Guests gasped. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Daniel's smirk faltered, then disappeared entirely. He felt a strange twist in his chest. Disbelief, shock, something he hadn't expected. She did it. She really did it, Emily smiled, radiant and unstoppable. "I guess some surprises are better than anyone expects," she said softly, looking toward him, her eyes calm but powerful. Daniel, for the first time that afternoon, felt completely outmatched. His pride, his mockery, his confidence, all evaporated in that one moment of revelation. The twins giggled softly, reaching toward their mother. Emily knelt to embrace them both, her laughter filling the space like sunlight through clouds. Daniel turned away, walking back toward his car, his mind racing. "I mocked her. I underestimated her, and now I have no words." Daniel's hands trembled slightly as he gripped the steering wheel. The sleek black SUV felt impossibly heavy. He had parked a few blocks away from Emily's house, and now, sitting inside the car, he replayed the moment over and over. Twins, pink and blue. She had outdone herself. A small, bitter laugh escaped him. "Twins?" he muttered, shaking his head. "Of course." "She always had to make a statement." Ryan's voice buzzed in his earpiece. "So what happened? Did you, show your support?" Daniel scoffed, gripping the wheel tighter. "Support? I came to watch her fumble. But she stole the show." "Twins, Ryan, twins. I didn't even know what to say." Ryan laughed. "Sounds like karma, buddy. Maybe it's time you take a step back." Daniel slammed his palm against the dashboard. "Step back? No, I can't, not now. I need to fix this. I need to understand how she—" He stopped mid-sentence, suddenly furious at himself. Meanwhile, Emily had moved back inside her home, the backyard still buzzing with chatter and laughter. The twins, little miracle bundles of energy, cooed and gurgled in her arms as her friends clustered around to congratulate her. She laughed softly, brushing a lock of hair from her forehead. "I can't believe they came at the same time," she whispered, rocking both babies gently. "Two little surprises, and he's probably still stuck outside thinking he has control over anything." Her sister Rachel handed her a cup of sparkling water. "He's in his car, I'm sure. You could hear the rumors already. Your ex was there. He didn't expect—" "This," Emily smirked. "Let him think he understands me. Let him think he's in charge. That's fine. I like surprises, Rachel, and I love showing people what they can't predict." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "You really think he'll come back? After seeing, well, all this?" Emily smiled, a quiet, confident smile. "He will. Pride is hard to kill, and Daniel has a lot of it. But sometimes, pride has to learn a lesson." Back in his SUV, Daniel finally started the engine. He drove slowly, circling the block. He didn't want to leave completely, not yet. Something in him had shifted. The smug confidence, the sarcasm, the arrogance. All of it had crumbled in the backyard among balloons and laughter. How did she pull that off? His phone buzzed. A text message from his assistant. "Daniel, your meeting at 5 p.m. is confirmed. Don't forget the pitch." He ignored it. He couldn't focus on business now. His mind was consumed by Emily, not in the way he used to feel love for her, but in a new, unsettling way, respect mixed with disbelief and, yes, a pinch of fear. She had become untouchable in a sense. The next morning, Daniel's office was unusually quiet. The city skyline glittered under the rising sun, and his employees worked silently, sensing the unusual mood of their boss. Daniel stood by the window, staring out at the bustling streets, sipping his espresso without really tasting it. Ryan walked in, leaning against the doorway. "You look haunted. Did she haunt you or something?" Daniel didn't turn. "She did something yesterday. Something I didn't expect. And it changed everything." Ryan chuckled nervously. "Wow, that's dramatic." "Did she really? She arrived with twins, Ryan, twins!" Daniel interrupted, voice sharp. "I came to mock her, to make her feel small." And she flipped the entire script. I don't know how she did it. And now, I don't even know what to do." Ryan raised both hands. "Dude, it's just a gender reveal." "You're overthinking it." Daniel turned, eyes blazing. "No, it's not just anything. It's her, and she just proved something I didn't think was possible. She's untouchable. And I hate that I'm admitting it, Ryan smirked. Well, admit it, boss. Maybe this is the wake-up call you needed. Daniel ignored him, pulling up the photos he had discreetly snapped at the party. The twins, tiny and adorable, giggled at each other, Emily holding them with effortless grace. He studied the expressions on the guests' faces: joy, amazement, admiration. And finally, he felt a bitter truth sink in. He had underestimated her, and that mistake could cost him his pride, his ego, maybe even his sense of control over his own life. At Emily's home, the day after the reveal, she was busy setting up a nursery for the twins. The room was painted in a soft, neutral shade, decorated with stars and clouds, and 2 tiny cribs stood side by side. She hummed softly, arranging blankets, making sure everything was perfect. Rachel peeked in. You know, Daniel's probably still talking about you. I ran into a couple of neighbors this morning. They saw his car circling the block. He's obsessed, Emily laughed, placing a tiny onesie in the crib. Let him be. Let him figure out what it means to be humbled. I didn't do this for him, Rachel. I did it for me. And now for them. She gestured toward the twins who were napping peacefully in her arms. Rachel smiled. You're enjoying this a little too much, aren't you? Emily winked. Oh, maybe, but some victories are sweeter when they're unexpected. Meanwhile, Daniel began to make quiet plans. He would have to face her again. Maybe at another social gathering, maybe through mutual friends, maybe at work if their paths crossed. He didn't know what the future held, but one thing was certain. Emily had shifted the power dynamic, and he wasn't used to being on the outside. He spent hours plotting, pacing in his penthouse, going over every moment of the previous day. She can't just show up with twins and change everything, he muttered, his jaw tight. I need to find a way to recalibrate. He didn't notice that something in him had changed. For the first time in years, Daniel wasn't entirely sure of himself. And that uncertainty would become the driving force of the next few months, the stage on which pride, revenge, and unexpected alliances would clash. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about the reveal. The images of Emily holding her twins, pink and blue, perfectly balanced like her silent message, replayed in his mind relentlessly. He had tried focusing on work, but every pitch, every meeting, every decision felt hollow. Emily had invaded his thoughts without stepping foot in his office. He opened his laptop, staring at spreadsheets, market trends, and investment reports. Nothing mattered. Every line, every number blurred into irrelevance. He closed the laptop with a sharp snap and leaned back in his chair, running a hand through his hair. Ryan walked in, holding 2 coffees. You're spiraling, man. You need a break. Maybe hit the gym, or I don't know. Take a walk? Daniel shook his head. No, I can't take a break. She changed everything. I came to mock her, Ryan. I came to remind her that I'm Daniel. And now, he trailed off, jaw tight. Now I feel like I'm the one being mocked. Ryan raised an eyebrow. So, what's the plan? You gonna crash her next family brunch? Daniel laughed, a short, bitter sound. Not yet. First, I need information. I need to understand how she pulled this off, how she became untouchable in one day. Meanwhile, Emily was adjusting to life with twins. The house buzzed with new energy, cries, laughter, diaper changes, and late-night feedings. She barely slept, but her spirit remained unshaken. Rachel entered the nursery holding a stack of baby clothes. You've turned into some kind of superhero, Emily. How do you handle all this? Emily smiled, placing a tiny pacifier into one of the baby's mouths. I don't handle it, I adapt. I don't let chaos control me, and I don't let people like Daniel control me either. Life throws surprises, Rachel. I just decide how I respond. Rachel shook her head, impressed. Well, you've got him talking about you nonstop. You didn't even try and he's obsessed. Emily laughed softly. Good, let him stew. Let him try to figure out how someone can rise above his judgment. Some lessons have to be learned the hard way. At a high-end charity gala 2 weeks later, Daniel appeared, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, determined to regain control. The grand chandelier reflected in the polished floors, wealthy attendees mingling, clinking glasses, and the soft hum of a string quartet in the background. He scanned the crowd, eyes narrowing as he spotted Emily across the room, holding both twins in a designer baby carrier, dressed elegantly, glowing. Guests surrounded her, admiring her grace, complimenting the twins, and laughing at her wit. Daniel's lips pressed into a thin line. "Impossible," he muttered. "She's making everyone adore her. And she's untouchable." Ryan approached from behind, cautious. "Look, just don't make a scene. Play it cool. Maybe charm her, like old times." Daniel turned sharply, eyes blazing. "Charm her? No, not charm. Strategy, observation, calculated moves. I need to tip the scale back." He adjusted his cufflinks and walked slowly toward Emily, a calculated smile on his face. She noticed him immediately but said nothing. The twins cooed softly, a gentle melody in contrast to the storm brewing inside Daniel. Daniel stopped a few feet away, voice smooth but deliberate. "Emily, it's been a while." Emily glanced at him, expression neutral, polite. "It has, Daniel. I wasn't expecting to see you tonight. Daniel faltered slightly, surprised by her calm. He cleared his throat, trying again. "I heard about the twins. Congratulations. Truly." Emily's lips curved into a small, knowing smile. "Thank you. They keep me busy, but I wouldn't trade a single moment." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. He had expected shock, maybe gratitude, maybe a hint of awkwardness. Instead, he found serenity and confidence, a calm he couldn't infiltrate. Ryan's whispered advice rang in his ear. "Play it cool." Daniel nodded slightly, forcing a relaxed stance. "They're beautiful. You've done an amazing job." Emily tilted her head. "Thank you. It's all about focus and love. Two things I recommend to anyone who thinks they know it all." A sharp pang shot through Daniel. Her words were calm, but each syllable carried subtle victory. She hadn't attacked him. She didn't need to. Her life, her success, and her composure did all the work for her. Over the next several weeks, Daniel observed Emily subtly. He noticed how she managed the twins with ease, how she handled social gatherings with elegance, how her friends and colleagues respected her decisively. Every encounter left him unsettled, part admiration, part envy, part a grudging recognition of her untouchable status. One evening, he finally admitted aloud in his office, "She's evolved. She's different. And I can't just mock her anymore. I have to respond." Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Respond? With what? Charm, money, influence?" "No," Daniel whispered, leaning against the window. "With strategy. Subtle moves. I need to regain some control, or I'll lose everything. Pride, reputation, my sense of self. And I can't afford that. Not to her." Meanwhile, Emily remained blissfully unaware of Daniel's mounting obsession. She focused on her life, her children, and her newfound confidence. But the tension in the air, unspoken yet palpable, set the stage for inevitable conflict. A friend warned her gently, "Daniel's smart. Don't underestimate him. He's not going to just disappear." Emily smiled, serene and unshaken. "I don't underestimate him. But I also don't let fear dictate my life. He'll find out the hard way. I don't live for his approval anymore. I live for mine, and theirs." She gently stroked her twins' hair. "And these two? They've already taught me more than anyone else ever could." Daniel spent the following weeks devising a plan. Not overt confrontation, not a public humiliation, too messy, too risky, but a slow, precise interference. Every move would be calculated, designed to unsettle Emily without anyone noticing, to chip away at her invincibility, one piece at a time. He began attending events he knew she would be at, blending in with industry professionals, charity donors, and socialites. He observed her from afar, noting the ease with which she interacted with others, the magnetic aura that drew people to her. Every smile she gave, every laugh, every casual comment was a subtle victory against his pride. At the gala for the Tech Foundation, Daniel approached a mutual acquaintance. "Have you noticed Emily's latest venture? Is it really viable?" The acquaintance hesitated. "Well, she's talented, and she's got connections. But you know, twins and work, it's a lot." Daniel nodded, a quiet, satisfied smirk forming. "That's the seed." He didn't attack. He didn't criticize. He simply planted doubt. He repeated this strategy subtly across social circles. Brief remarks, measured questions, half-heard doubts. Meanwhile, Emily's life remained a whirlwind. Between late-night feedings, work calls, and social obligations, she moved like a conductor of a symphony, balancing chaos with grace. But even she noticed small tremors of tension. Rachel stopped by one evening, holding her phone. "Emily, you might want to see this." Emily glanced over. Social media threads were buzzing with speculation about her ability to balance life, rumors of strained partnerships, and whispers of a looming failure. She frowned, then shrugged. "Let them talk. Words don't define reality." "I do." She picked up her twins, holding them close. "And these two? They're my reality. Everything else is just noise." Daniel's interference, however, was subtle but effective. Partners hesitated to approach Emily, colleagues wondered if she could manage, and social whispers reached even her inner circle. He was winning quietly, invisibly, but the real challenge lay in pushing her to react, to force a misstep. He orchestrated small disruptions, delaying invitations, misdirecting emails, subtly questioning her credibility in casual conversations. Nothing overt, nothing traceable, and yet, each action, like a pebble dropped into a pond, created ripples that reached Emily's world. At a crucial board meeting for her startup, Emily noticed hesitation from a key investor. Questions were more probing, tones slightly sharper. She realized that someone had been planting doubts, subtly influencing opinions. She looked across the room, scanning faces. And then she saw him, Daniel, in the corner, casually observing, as if he were a chess player tracking her every move. Emily smiled faintly, understanding immediately. "So it begins," she whispered to herself. That evening, Emily called her most trusted advisor, Monica. "I know what's happening," she said, firm. "Daniel is interfering." Subtle, calculated, but intentional. Monica raised an eyebrow. "And you're not—" "Worried?" Emily laughed softly. "Worried? No. Intrigued? Maybe. He thinks he can control outcomes by sowing doubts, but he's forgotten one thing. I thrive under pressure. Every attempt to unsettle me will backfire, and he'll see it, one by one." Daniel, sensing that Emily had noticed the interference, escalated his strategy. He sent invitations to high-profile events he knew she would attend, each designed to challenge her reputation subtly. Some events had overlapping schedules, forcing her to make tough choices. Others involved mutual acquaintances, whose loyalty he could sway. At a major charity auction, Daniel positioned himself strategically. He approached a donor, whispering under the soft glow of chandeliers, "I hear Emily is stretched thin." Twins work. I wonder if she's spreading herself too thin to deliver results. Emily, across the room, overheard fragments. Her lips curved into a knowing smile. She understood immediately. Daniel was trying to provoke her, to manipulate outcomes by orchestrating social pressure. She walked toward him, twins safely nestled in a carrier, and stopped just short of his table. "Daniel," she said, calm but firm. "You seem very busy trying to control everything around me." Daniel's jaw tightened. "I'm just observing, making sure things stay fair." Emily's smile widened, sharp and precise. "Fair, interesting. You should know, I define my own fairness, and no one, not even you, gets to rewrite it." That night, Daniel lay awake in his penthouse, replaying the evening over and over. Every interaction, every glance, every subtle shift in power dynamics haunted him. He realized begrudgingly that Emily's composure was not a facade. It was armor forged from determination, love, and resilience. Ryan, always the voice of reason, spoke softly across the room. "She's different now, Daniel. She's not the same person you mocked at a gender reveal. This obsession of yours, it's dangerous. Stop playing games before it backfires." Daniel shook his head. "I can't. I won't. Not until she sees the consequences of her choices. Not until she understands." He paused, staring at the ceiling. "Not until she realizes I'm still in control." Emily, meanwhile, sat with her twins after a long day. She looked into their eyes and whispered, "They think they can shake me. They think they can create fear. But fear doesn't live here anymore. Only love, only focus, only truth." her resolve hardened. She knew that Daniel would continue his interference, but every move he made only strengthened her strategy. She would counter him at every turn, not with aggression, but with precision, resilience, and the unshakable power of thriving in her own life. The chessboard had been set. Daniel had made his move. And Emily, she was already 3 steps ahead. The morning sun slanted through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Daniel's office, casting long shadows across his pristine mahogany desk. He reviewed emails, financial statements, and social updates, but his mind kept returning to Emily. Every subtle maneuver, every whispered doubt, every calculated disruption had been met with an unexpected calm, a quiet confidence that unnerved him more than outright confrontation ever could. He rubbed his temples and picked up his phone, scrolling through messages that hinted at Emily's growing influence. She was thriving despite him. That small realization, like a needle, pierced his pride. Meanwhile, Emily prepared for the event that Daniel had subtly orchestrated to challenge her, the high-profile investor gala, a night that could make or break her startup's next funding round. She dressed with purpose, carefully choosing a navy blue dress that projected authority without aggression. Her twins rested in their carriers, calm under her steady hands, a living reminder of her inner strength. The gala was a glittering scene of social power, champagne flutes sparkling like liquid gold, conversations buzzing like electricity through the marble hall. Emily entered with poise, scanning the room with a calm determination. She noted the subtle shifts, colleagues casting sideways glances, investors hesitating in conversation, murmurs that tried to sow doubt. And of course Daniel, leaning casually against a column, watching her like a hawk. She didn't flinch. Instead, she walked directly to the center of the room, smiling warmly at the people who mattered most. With every handshake, every confident word, she exuded control. She turned Daniel's subtle interferences into an unintended showcase of her resilience. Every hesitant glance toward her, every hushed whisper in his direction, only amplified her poise. Daniel's jaw tightened. Why does she make it look so effortless?" he muttered. The turning point came when the gala's main sponsor announced a surprise auction, a rare investment opportunity reserved for the most influential attendees. Daniel had hoped to corner the opportunity, subtly discredit Emily just enough to edge her out. He whispered to a key investor, "I'm not sure she can handle the pressure of this deal. Twins, work, all of it." But Emily's response was immediate, precise, and devastatingly effective. She approached the stage with twins secured, projecting calm authority, and addressed the attendees. "I understand the stakes tonight," she began, her voice carrying through the hall. "And I also understand the responsibilities we each carry, not just in business, but in life. I am proud to manage both, not despite them, but because of them. The challenges we face define our capacity to succeed. I invite you to judge based on results, not rumor, speculation, or fear." The room paused, tension slicing through the air. Daniel's whispered manipulations fell flat. The investors, captivated by Emily's charisma and clarity, were already convinced. Later that evening, in a quiet corner of the gala, Daniel finally confronted her directly. The twins, remarkably calm, rested in their carriers as Emily faced him. "You think you've won?" Daniel said, his voice low, edged with frustration. "I've been trying to test you, push you. And you just thrive. How?" Emily smiled, a sharp, knowing curve of her lips. "I never thrived on your doubts, Daniel. I thrived on truth, on focus, on love for what matters most. You were too busy trying to manipulate others, thinking that control over perception equals control over reality. You forgot one thing. I create my own reality." Daniel stepped closer, eyes narrowing. "And the twins, they're proof?" "They're part of it, yes. But more than that, they're a reminder that life can surprise, that what you mock today may be your greatest lesson tomorrow. You mocked me at my gender reveal, thinking I was powerless, childless, inconsequential. And now, here we are." The hall buzzed with whispers as Daniel realized the full scope of the reversal. Emily's success, her poise, her ability to command attention and admiration, all in the face of his interference, left him stunned. Emily leaned slightly closer. You see, Daniel, the true power isn't in trying to control others. It's in mastering your own life, in turning challenges into opportunities. You wanted me to falter. Instead, I've turned every attempt against you into strength. And tonight, the world has seen it, Daniel's mind raced. Every manipulation, every subtle plan he had executed had been nullified. And the crowning blow, Emily's announcement of her startup expansion, live on stage, validated by key investors, sealed the moment. The crowd erupted in applause, and Emily's confidence radiated. Daniel, once the puppeteer, now realized he had been outplayed, outmaneuvered, and outshined. As the gala ended, Emily gathered the twins, exiting into the crisp night air. She paused at the doorway, looking back at Daniel. "This isn't the end," she said softly, a quiet edge to her tone. "It's the beginning of everything I want to create, and nothing you try will stop it." Daniel watched her leave, the full weight of his loss pressing down. He had mocked, manipulated, and interfered. But in the end, Emily's resilience, love, and clarity had triumphed. For the first time, he understood that the true victory wasn't in control. It was in authenticity, courage, and unwavering focus.